You know that feeling, right? That heart-in-your-throat moment when you're about to push a deployment to production? It's a feeling just about every dev team knows way too well. But what if it didn't have to be like that? Today we're going to talk about some advanced deployment strategies that are designed to swap that fear for straight-up confidence.
Seriously, just imagine it. Pushing brand new features to your users with a feeling of total control, not dread. No more late-night emergency rollbacks, no more panicked all-hands-on-deck calls. It might sound like a developer's fantasy, but I'm telling you, it's totally achievable if you use the right techniques.
This is really what it all boils down to. The old way of doing things was like a high-wire act, right? One big push that came with a huge risk of downtime and a ton of stress. The new way is all about building yourself a safety net. It's about slashing that risk, getting rid of downtime, and what that does, it gives your team the mental space to actually innovate faster and be bolder.
Okay, so let's jump into our first solution. I like to call this one the big switch. It's a really powerful and clean way to completely swap out an old version of your app for a new one, all in one single instantaneous moment.
Think about it like a big theater production. Your live amp is the show that the audience is watching on stage one. But at the same time, backstage, your crew is setting up the entire next scene on an identical second stage. When it's absolutely perfect, you just flip a switch, and bam, the curtain changes, and the audience is instantly watching the new scene with zero interruption.
So, the technical name for this magic trick is a blue/green deployment. You have two complete, totally identical production environments. We'll just call them blue and green. One of them, let's say blue, is live and handling all of your user traffic. The other one, green, is just sitting there idle, waiting for the next release.
Okay, so here's how it actually plays out. First, all your live traffic is hitting the blue environment, which is running version 1 of your app. Next, you go ahead and deploy version 2 to that idle green environment. Now, this next step is critical. You run all of your final tests on green while it's completely separate from your users. Once you're absolutely sure it's good to go, you make the switch. You just tell your router to send all new traffic over to green.
The best part about this, the rollout is instant. And you know what's even better? The rollback is instant too. If something unexpected pops up, there's no panic. You just flip the router right back to the blue environment, which is still sitting there untouched, running the stable version. The trade-off, of course, is the cost. You are literally maintaining double the production infrastructure, and that can get pricey.
But what if an all-or-nothing switch feels a little too dramatic? What if you want to dip your toes in the water first? Well, that brings us to our second strategy, the canary test. This one is all about being cautious and rolling things out bit by bit.
The metaphor I love for this one is a chef testing a new dish. Instead of just changing the entire menu overnight, what would they do? They'd probably offer it as a special to just a few tables first. They'd watch, they'd gather feedback, see if people actually like it, and make sure the kitchen can handle making it. We're doing the exact same thing, but with our code.
In the industry, this is known as a canary deployment. The idea is you release the new version to a small, hand-picked group of your real users. This group basically becomes your canary in the coal mine. They're testing the new code in the real world before you take the risk of pushing it out to everybody.
So let's walk through how this works. To start, everything is totally normal. 100% of your users are on the current stable version of your application. Business as usual, nothing fancy happening yet. And now for the cool part. In phase 2, we start the test. We just tweak our configuration to send a tiny fraction of our traffic, let's say 5%, over to the new version. Meanwhile, the other 95% of your users are completely unaffected. They just keep using the stable version, and they have no idea anything's even happening.
Now this part is absolutely crucial. You don't just release and hope for the best. You watch. You watch everything. For that 5% of users, you're monitoring error rates, response times, even business metrics like how many people are clicking a certain button. You're looking for any sign, any signal at all, that the new version is performing worse than the old one.
So, if all your metrics look good and the canary, so to speak, survives, then you can move forward with confidence. You start gradually increasing the traffic to the new version, maybe you go to 25%, then 50%, and finally, you open the floodgates to 100%. At that point, the old version can be retired, and your new version is officially live for everyone.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually pull this off? Let's make this way more concrete and look at how these strategies are actually implemented on Google Cloud Platform.
On Google Cloud, you've got some great options. For a blue/green deployment on GKE, Google Kubernetes Engine, you can handle that big switch right at the ingress level.
A lot of times it's as simple as updating a single line in a YAML file. Now, for a more precise canary release in GKE, something like a service mesh or cloud deploy gives you that fine-grained percentage-based control over your traffic. And hey, if you're using Cloud Run, it's even easier. Canary releases are just a built-in feature. You literally just tell it what percentages you want.
So there you have it. Two really powerful strategies, the all-at-once big switch and the more gradual canary test. And that, of course, brings us to the final and most important question.
Look, there is no single right answer here. The choice between blue/green and canary really depends on your app, your team's comfort level with risk, and, frankly, the kind of changes you're pushing out.
Here's a quick way to think about it. Go with blue/green when you need that super fast, simple rollback plan and when your changes are maybe really hard to test without a full production-like environment. On the other hand, you should choose canary when you want to test the waters with real users first and really limit the blast radius if something goes wrong. It's awesome for seeing how your new code actually performs in the wild.
And I want to leave you with this one last thought. Let's be real, putting these strategies into practice isn't free. They add complexity, they add overhead, so the real question isn't just can we do this, it's should we do this? It's all about making a deliberate choice to invest in being reliable. So take a hard look at your project and ask yourself, is the cost of failure high enough to be worth building a better safety net?